Today's gospel reading is from the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 11 through 24. And if you want to go ahead and follow along in the Pew Bible, it's pages 1257 and 1258. Two sons. Jesus also told them another story. Once a man had two sons. The younger son said to his father, "Give me my share of the property." So the father divided his property between his two sons. Not long after that, the younger son packed up everything he owned and left for a foreign country, where he wasted all his money in wild living. He had spent everything. When a bad famine spread throughout that whole land, soon he had nothing to eat. He went to work for a man in that country, and the man sent him out to take care of his pigs. He would have been glad to eat what the pigs were eating, but no one gave him a thing. Finally, he came to his senses and said, "My father's workers have plenty to eat, and here I am, starving to death. I will go to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against God in heaven and against you. I am no longer good enough to be called your son. Treat me like one of your workers.' The younger son got up and started back to his father. But when he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt sorry for him. He gave him his son and hugged and kissed him. The son said, 'Father, I have sinned against God in heaven and against you. I am no longer good enough to be called your son.' But his father said to the servants, 'Hurry and bring the best clothes and put them on him. Give him a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Get the best calf and prepare it, so we can eat and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, but has now come back to life. He was lost, and now has been found.' And they began to celebrate."
Amen.
Every time I do this gospel reading, there is controversy. Everybody shake your head, right? You know, I almost got ran out of Bible study the first time I used it, because people got all caught up in identifying with the older son, who behaved himself, who stayed there with the father, who sweated day and night, was such a good boy, and that jerky little kid brother who comes after he squandered everything and he's done, who knows what he's done. You know, has dad going, "Oh, my son, I'm so happy to see you. Oh, let me get you some clothes and a ring, and we're going to have a fatted calf, and we're going to have a party." And here's this kid who's been faithful, who's done everything he's supposed to, and he gets nothing. Even though the father says, "Well, remember everything, that's mine, will be yours." Doesn't make him very well, does he? The thing is with this story, I have to share what I learned when I was in seminary. This story should not be read alone. It starts out at the very beginning of chapter 15 in the Gospel of Luke. And it tells us that Jesus had all of these sinners and tax collectors and all kinds of who knows what riffraff coming to him, listening to him, talking with him. And the Pharisees, the super orthodox types, were going, "Oh, look at him and the kind of people he hangs around with. He even eats with sinners. No, he's not very careful about the company he keeps." And so Jesus, hearing this, said, "I have some stories I would like to share with you." And the first story is about a shepherd who has 99 sheep who are behaving themselves, to be good little sheepies. And here's this one little guy who just kind of wanders off. And so he leaves the 99, which is kind of, you know, a dangerous thing to do. And off he goes looking for that little sheep who's just kind of wandered off and is having a wonderful time. Finds the sheep, is so thrilled, grabs a little fellow, puts him over his shoulder, brings him back, and he's just thrilled, and he's celebrating, and they're having a big party, and he's so thrilled that the one that was lost has now been found, and they're all together where they belong. And the next story is like, well, if you didn't get this one, I have another story for you. So the next story he tells is about a woman with these coins, and one of them is lost. And so what she does, rather than just saying, oh, well, it's only one coin, I'm just going to kick back and relax and not worry about it. It's lost, and she wants to find it. So she's sweeping her house and looking under things. Finally, she finds the coin and is so thrilled that, again, I found my coin. They're all together now, and let's celebrate. Well, if you didn't get it now, I have a story that will really, really get you. So this is a story. And I call this the story of the greatest father that ever was. It's unfortunate that our Bible translators wants to put the emphasis on the sons rather than on the father. Because yes, the sons are the ones that have a relationship and act in certain ways. But the story is really about the father. It's the father that we all wish that we had on earth, but at least we have one in heaven, right? And this is the father who has two sons. And one of them, it's usually the elder one that they usually have in these stories. The elder one behaves himself, and the younger one is the one that just kind of, Dad, I want my inheritance now. I'm going to go out. I'm going to, I need to find myself. I'm putting it in kind of a 21st century context. So Dad gives him his inheritance. He goes out, and who knows what he was doing. He was a bad boy. And he's going out, now he has no more money. So what does he do? The worst thing a Jewish boy could possibly do. He works on a pig farm. Now in the Jewish holiness code, pigs, you don't look at a pig, you don't touch a pig, you don't eat a pig. Pigs are, absolute cooties. You do not touch them. So he's desperate, right? He works on this pig farm. And he's starving, and he even wishes that he ate with the pigs dead. At least they're eating, right? And he finally says, I had it so much better when I was at home. Even my dad's workers, they had it really good. And I'm just going to go down. I'm going to get back to my father. I'm going to tell him, that I've sinned against him, and I've done horrible things, and just treat me like one of your servants. So he, walks down the road. Dad can see him from a distance. And he's so thrilled. He knew this kid was lost. He knew this kid was probably doing all sorts of things he shouldn't. But with open arms and not going, I know what you did, and as long as you live, every single day of your life, I'm going to remind you about what a bad boy you were. That's how some parents are, right? They won't let you forget. Bad, bad, bad. No, he opens his arms. He knows the kid feels bad. And he gives him clothes and a ring and a party and all this good stuff. This is what Jesus is trying to tell us, the way God feels toward us. He's like the shepherd who has a lost sheep. And when you find that lost sheep and he returns it, he's healthy and everything's okay. Wow, this is wonderful. And it's like the woman who's lost her coin. And when she finally has everything complete, it's not that it's going to make her rich, but now that everything is complete, they're all together now. And it's like the father who had a son who really didn't choose to behave himself for a while and wandered off and did things he shouldn't do. But now he's back. He was lost, but now he's found. And there's such joy. And it's really about the dad. It isn't about the kids that much. They play a part in the story because of their relationship and the way they act toward each other. But the story is about the father. It's about the father we would all like to have, right? Some of us were very blessed and had wonderful fathers. Some of us, sort of blessed, and some of us not blessed at all. But we have a Father, right? We have the one. And I remember the teacher that I had that explained these passages to me when I was a student at Fuller had a really horrible experience as a young boy. His father was a preacher in an independent Baptist church. It wasn't affiliated with anybody. And every time he misbehaved, the father would beat him over the head with the Bible. And he was really angry at God. And I'm not going to have anything to do with this. And then his father sent him to Wheaton College. Anybody know anything about Wheaton College? It's a Christian college, kind of conservative. He went there, but I don't want to go in here. I want to get out, I'll get my degree, I'm going to get the heck out of this place. Really, really, really angry. And did some things he probably shouldn't have done, like that kid in the story of the father and the two sons. And he had a very negative attitude toward fathers. He had a very negative attitude towards God because he associated the two together. And then one time, he had fallen down in a creek and he couldn't get up. And he broke his leg. And it was like he felt God's presence. And he had, it was like he heard a voice saying, "You are my beloved child. I'm so proud of you. I know that you've really struggled in your life. And I want you to serve me now. I want you to preach the word." And it's like, are you kidding? Are you serious? I haven't set foot in a church for years and years and years. But it was like this, he had the gentle nudge. Oh, maybe it was a kick in the, you know where. But anyway, he had this, and it was like he was pushed. And he entered seminary, and he was in a church for a while. And he loved studying. He loved reading Greek. Because if you're a very serious theological student, you have to be able to read the scriptures in their original language so you can learn more about what they really say. And so that's what he did. And he got his PhD in theology. And I was so privileged to have Dr. Robert Kulik as my New Testament instructor at Fuller Seminary. He really changed my mind about so many things and about not to read things in isolation. You know how some people will get up on a Sunday morning and they'll go, and it says here, and it says here, and it says here, and you're flipping through your Bible and it's like, hey, color me important because I can flip through my Bible. No, he said you should never have a passage isolated. You should know what comes before it. You should know what comes after it. You should see how it all fits in. You should also know about the culture of who wrote it and what does it really mean, because it may mean different things when you read it today in English in the United States of America. We probably wouldn't want to work on a pig farm, but it wouldn't be the worst possible thing that could ever happen to anybody. To a Jew, yes, there could not be anything lower than working on a pig farm. So you have to know a little bit about their holiness code to really understand how this story probably put the hair up on the necks of those who heard it. The other thing, so I wanted to share one brief story with you of a father who was a wonderful father. And that's what we're celebrating dads today, aren't we? When I was teaching at St. Peter's School, I had a young father whose wife had left him. She was only 18 years old when she got married. He was about 20. And they had little children, a boy and then a girl right in succession. And at some point, she probably said, you know, this is boring. I thought marriage was going to be exciting. But she was too young to know any better. And so she took off. She just left him. And here he is. And he was from a very traditional family. He didn't know how to cook. He didn't know how to clean. There were a lot of things he didn't know how to do, like even do laundry. But you know what? He was determined that he was going to be the best parent that he could possibly be. And I have to give him credit. Because you know what a lot of guys do when their wives take off and they have kids? They can find any woman they can, right? They'll find any woman they can that'll just take care of them. But he didn't. He resolved himself that he was going to do these things. And he got cookbooks, and he, you know, learned a lot of laundry, and he had some people help him so he could do these things. Those kids looked so nice when they came to school in the morning. The little girl was 6 and the boy was 8. And they looked so wonderful when they came to school. And they were struggling. This was not a guy with a huge education or anything. He worked for the phone company up on the line, like a linesman. And so anyway, he had them, he paid for tutoring and things like that to keep them up. And I thought, those kids are so blessed if they realize how much he sacrificed for them so that they would grow up strong and full of the love of God. And that's exactly how he was bringing them up. And I haven't seen them for many, many years, but I did see them when they were in their teens, and they were great. They were a great bunch of kids. And I'm so glad that they were honoring their father and saying that they don't know how they could have had a better dad. And so this is what we're celebrating today. I wanted to share that story with you from a different perspective, not from the perspective of the little boy who, well, he wasn't a little boy, but the boy who took off and did all kinds of bad things. The story is about the Father. It's about the Father that I feel we all deserve. The one who says, yeah, you know, I'm not going to worry about the things you did in the past. That's the past. You've returned, you're here, the lost is found, and oh, what joy there is in heaven.
Amen.
Amen. I invite all